Most Swiss watches are actually made in China, and the reason that replicas often look just as good as the original is that they are made in the same factory.
I'm going to fire Harold.
Why?
The watch is a fake.
What's fake about it?
According to the serial number,
It doesn't correspond.
Have you ever looked down at your wrist and noticed that shiny Rolex and felt as though you were living your life with a miniature Swiss castle strapped to your arm? Yes. Imagine the same watch being made in a fluorescent-lit factory in Shenzhen, China, alongside 5,000 other limited edition pieces. It's old money elegance, handcrafted precision, decades of prestige ticking away in perfect harmony.
95% of the world's watches are made here, including the one you're wearing right now. Many big brand watches are produced or sourced for parts from here. This place is Shenzhen City, the world watch capital.
No mountains covered in snow grandpa's polishing tools are not magnifying glass. There are only a few factory workers and a conveyor belt. But welcome to the real luxury watch industry where the truth costs your pride and the fantasy costs 5 figures, because what's coming out of China right now isn't a knockoff. It's the same DMN thing with a multi-thousand-dollar upcharge. For example, a Moss Tudor Black B costs $4,400.
You pay $4,400 for a mid-test Tudor Black Bay monochrome. You pay almost $10,000 for a Rolex of Markup. And a Royal Oak extra thin, it costs like $36,000. Cheap is not a word that applies.
A watch is often blurred. However, when you come to Guangzhou, you cannot see any problem just by looking at the appearance. What you need to be careful about is that the low quality movement inside will be sold at a high price.
My suggestion is you can try it first or buy it for a legal way. I'm Sean. See you next time.
And the most outrageous part is that the people who make these watches are no longer hiding them. Instead, they are unboxing them on TikTok, revealing on WeChat that the so-called Swiss-made fairy tale is nothing more than a marketing gimmick with a Rolex crown. Here's what most people don't know. Shenzhen is the epicenter of the global watch industry. Imagine it as the watch capital that no one dares acknowledge exists. If you walk into a Shenzhen warehouse, you won't find cheap plastic knockoffs. Instead, you'll find stainless steel polished bezels, sapphire glass ceramic inserts, and the same damn materials used in Fifth Avenue luxury boutiques.
Most Swiss watches are actually made in China, and the reason that replicas often look just as good as the original is that they are made in the same factory.
They offer a wide range of styles to choose from, maintain strict production standards, and can support customization, starting from just 50 pieces. What? Worry about them are just middlemen? You contact them.
However, they aren't marked up by 500% here. The truth is louder, faster, and much more industrial, despite what the Swiss brands would have you imagine. A darkly lit chalet workshop with a tweed-jacketed artisan fine-tuning gears by candlelight. 36,000. Royal Oak Audemars Pay the game becomes murky with a factory version that has the same screw-down crown, brushed steel bracelet, and skeleton dial, but lacks the luxury of a Geneva mailing address. Swiss Ade has been used as a luxury shield, but it's based on a loophole so smooth that it deserves its own heist movie. According to Swiss law, a watch's value does not have to come from Switzerland. It can be marketing, design, logistics, or even slapping the movement into a finished case. For example, a watch made 90% in Shenzhen, with a dial, bracelet, and bezel, is shipped to Geneva, where someone installs the movement and cleans it with a branded cloth. Boom, Swiss Ade! You just dropped 6 racks for a piece that began life in the same location where your cousin purchased his $80 replica from AliExpress.
And in Shenzhen, you must not miss this factory.
Asking y'all should receive. Tisa, where are the watch manufacturers? I did some digging and I found the watch manufacturers. There is a new scandal coming out of the luxury watch division. Listen, if you want to keep going to Rolex, if you want to keep going to AP and spending your money, go and do that. However, industry insiders are coming out, and I have their videos. People have even been fired from it for lifting the hood away from.
However, it doesn't end there. Instead of whispering, industry insiders are now shouting. Former workers are turning into manufacturing whistleblowers, and even irate luxury sales representatives are disclosing receipts that would make public relations teams perspire through their silk suits. One man said that he was dismissed for just asking too many questions when repairing old timepieces.
I'm going to fire Harold.
Why?
The watch is a fake.
What's fake about it?
According to the serial number,
It doesn't correspond.
He discovered parts straight from Asia, hidden inside purported 70s-era masterpieces, including bracelets, dials, hands, and even the movement. The scariest part is that occasionally, the movement was replaced at the last minute with a cheap $5 quartz chip. Imagine paying museum prices for something that sounds like a Walmart special, but luxury blogs and watch magazines are silent about it because executives are being flown to Basel World sipping champagne and receiving review units that, for some reason, never need to be returned. These influencers are too busy posing on yachts and generating affiliate sales to inquire about the watch's true origins.
Watches come in different sizes. A small dial makes you always slimmer, while a larger one makes you a stronger era. First of all, you need to determine your budget range. The Rolex Datagest is the best choice for cost effect.
After receiving a $20,000 Omega present, do you think someone will turn around and say, "Hey, this came from Guangdong, not Geneva, please"? They are walking billboards that have been purchased and paid for, and the brands love it that way. However, Rolex made a mistake when a Chinese expose began to circulate, complete with unboxing videos, factory floor footage, and side-by-side comparisons. Instead of denying it or filing a lawsuit, they did something far more dubious. They quietly lowered prices without making a big, showy announcement. Of course, Rolex never goes on sale. That would be sacrilege. But dealers began offering silent discounts. 10%, sometimes 20%.
Rolex your collection. These are the 5 cheapest Rolex watches that you can buy right now. First one, we got the 36mm Datejust 16220 with the engine turn bezel and is worth around $6,500. The next watch is a 36mm Datejust 16014 with a blue dial and fruited bezel. This one is priced at around $6,200.
On models that coincidentally happen to be the ones flooding the replica market, the Submariner, GMT Master 2, the Ocean Perpetual, the Flex favorites, the ones influencers love to flaunt in soft lighting on private jets. Rolex doesn't cut prices unless their image is on fire. That brand thrives on exclusivity, scarcity, and making people wait 2 years just to feel special. So when authorized dealers begin offering discreet markdowns immediately after a Chinese expose goes viral online, well, that's damage control. It's the luxury equivalent of cleaning your Instagram after a scandal and posting a black square, but the floodgates are open, and buyers are avoiding the boutiques completely in favor of placing custom orders directly to the factories. The precise case. Proportions of a Daytona cost $350, and it was delivered in 2 weeks. One man even ordered a Rolex sub-homage with a real sapphire crystal ceramic bezel Swiss movement. He uploaded a comparison online with a real one, and even watch collectors had to enlarge it to see the difference.
In different sizes, a small dial makes you always slimmer, while a larger one makes you a stronger era. First of all, you need to determine your budget range. The Rolex Datagest is the best choice for cost effective. For more advanced options, there's sports and professional models. Let's look at the Submariners here.
The factories no longer pretend to be branding these as OEM homage factory direct builds parallel productions, saying, "Look, we make the real stuff, just not for the big brands anymore." It was a factory twin, with the same suppliers and finish, but without the magic pixie dust of a Swiss marketing budget. Some even assert that they are using leftover materials from luxury production runs, such as the bezels from a run meant for a now-cancelled limited edition and the crown logo on the clasp, which is purportedly stamped from the same metal used in official orders. The suppliers don't care about branding. They care about volume and keeping the machines running, and if Rolex won't buy the leftovers, someone else will. So let's talk money, because this is where the illusion really falls apart. Industry insiders estimate that a watch retailing for $10,000 probably costs around $1,200 to make. That's not just parts, that's labor, packaging, distribution, everything. And yet you're paying nearly 10 times that because of branding, store lighting, and the emotional high vibe made it. Some brands try to keep it honest, like Christopher Ward, who says they cap their markup at 3x production cost Omega runs. Closer to 4x, but Rolex, most experts believe it's easily 5x or more, and that's before you hit the secondary market, where flippers triple that again. But don't expect Rolex to post their margins publicly. They can't, they're a non-profit foundation. Yeah, let that sink in. Technically, Rolex is a foundation. They don't disclose earnings, profits, or executive salaries. They're the Vatican of horology, cloaked in secrecy, steeped in ritual, and impossible to audit. They move like a private Discord server. If a scandal breaks, they don't tweet. Apologies, they just quietly adjust supply, reshuffle model. Numbers, and let the hype reset itself. No accountability, just vibes. So here's the million-dollar question. If the real cost of your luxury watch is barely a fifth of what you paid, what are you actually buying? Prestige, workmanship, and a tradition. Perhaps you can pass it on to your grandchildren, but more often than not, you're paying for a brand's capacity to make you feel wealthy and give you the impression that you belong to a private club that is the actual product.
I'll tell you one thing. That one thing alone is more than enough for you all to understand why you all should not be wearing a fake. Self-confidence, guys. Once you wear a fake, your confidence is not the same as you wear original. Because once you wear a fake and you walk into a place where there's a lot of people who love watches, people who wear the original are going to figure out it's a fake. So once you wear the fake and it gives some light off it, there is going to be reflection shown on that. That alone is more than enough. And your confidence level is not
the steel, not the gears. The illusion, and illusions once broken don't return. So let's not act like every replica is gold. There are still fake looms that glow for a half second, if at all. They may appear clean on an Instagram story, but when you see them in person, they're giving Dollar Trees, scratching easy fog in the shower, and dying faster than a TikTok trend. They're costume jewelry for people who want a moment rather than a movement. And if you walk into a room full of real watch enthusiasts wearing one trust, they'll recognize it and talk. But that's the catch. Not all replicas are made equal anymore. The lines have blurred. Some are trash, but others built in the same factories with the same machines by the same hands. They just lack the brand stamp and the 10x markup that comes with it, and suddenly the word fake starts to feel real. DMN fuzzy. Is it fake if the materials are real, if the specs are identical, if the only difference is a stamp, a serial number, and a certificate of authenticity? That cost $800 to print. This is the era we're in now, where factories post-production runs on TikTok, where buyers negotiate luxury specs in group chats, where Swiss made feels more like a slogan than a guarantee. The horology world is changing fast, and the brands can't stop it. They built their empires on secrecy, but the internet doesn't care about tradition. It cares about receipts, about transparency, about knowing the truth before dropping 5 figures on something that may have been born in the same neighborhood as a knockoff. So yeah, if you still want to buy that Rolex, no judgment. Flex however you like, but don't act as though you're getting something completely unaffected by globalization, because it probably stopped briefly in Shenzhen before heading to your velvet line box. And that's not slander. Instead, the watch industry sold you a dream. Now is the time to wake up, because once you realize what's actually going on underneath, the only thing left to wonder is who is actually being played.